Breaking news, Patriots Nation. Things are heating up in Foxborough, and you need to know what's going on right now. The atmosphere behind the scenes with the New England Patriots is intense, and the conversations happening in the last few hours could change the direction of our season. The goal is clear: build a team capable of fighting for the Super Bowl. But as you know, there are still issues that need to be fixed, and fast. Before I break everything down for you, make sure to hit that like button. But only do it if you believe the Patriots have what it takes to get back to the top of the NFL. Personally, I believe it 100%. And if you do too, drop it in the comments. Go Pats! We're going to the Super Bowl. Alright, enough talking. Let's get straight to the point. The countdown is almost over. Just 2 weeks stand between us and the regular season opener against the Raiders, and the Patriots are staring down one of the most important decisions of the year, finalizing the 53-man roster. The preseason games might not have carried much weight in terms of wins and losses, but they revealed plenty about who's ready to carry this team forward and who's not. And let's be honest, the preseason was a roller coaster. Lowlights included the crushing 42-10 loss to the Giants, where Ben Waldridge's 4 quarters of struggle and just 82 passing yards made it clear he's not ready for the NFL spotlight yet. That's why his likely home will be the practice squad, while Drake Maye and Josh Dobbs form the official quarterback room. It's the kind of move that shows both the patience and urgency the Patriots are juggling right now. Groom potential for tomorrow, but secure stability today. The backfield tells another story of transition. Rhamondre Stevenson remains the steady hand. Trayvon Henderson is pushing to take over as the number 1 back sooner rather than later. And Antonio Gibson feels more like a temporary piece than a permanent fixture. He's duplicating Henderson's skill set, just without the burst and strength, and that opens the door for a possible trade if the right offer comes along. Depth is fine here, but the Patriots know Henderson has the chance to break out this year and eventually take the lead role. Now, if there's a position group that sparks real intrigue, it's the tight ends. Most analysts projected the team to stick with 2, but Hunter Henry, Austin Hooper, and Jack Westover all have strong cases. Westover has been a quiet revelation, lining up both at tight end and as a fullback throughout the preseason. His numbers don't pop off the page, but his PFF grade of 70.2 tells the story. He can block, and that's what the Patriots need to open up their offense. In a scheme that's expected to lean heavily on 12 personnel, Westover isn't just filling a roster spot. He could shape how this offense functions. Wide receiver, that's where emotions run high. Stephon Diggs, Pop Douglas, Keyshawn Bout, Mac Hollins, and Kyle Williams look set, but questions swirl around depth and health. Kendrick Bourne's status is still murky after getting rolled up in scrimmage, while Jalen Polk is already on IR. And then there's Javon Baker. Fans are split. His preseason drops were hard to watch, but his rise on special teams has been impossible to ignore. With Marcellus Dial tearing his ACL, Baker stepped into the gunner role and impressed, so much so that Mike Vrabel himself highlighted his growth and understanding of the job. Vrabel hasn't praised him as a wideout, only as a special teamer, which suggests Baker's pathway might mirror Matthew Slater's career, limited offensive snaps, but indispensable on special teams. That's not a disappointment, it's a necessity for a team still building its identity. On the offensive line, the projection is 9 players, not 10. Marcus Bryant, Dantride Jacobs, Ben Brown, and rookie Caden Wallace headline the depth. And here's where things get interesting. Brett Alper's projection leaves the roster at 52 instead of 53. That open slot feels deliberate. The Patriots are signaling they want flexibility to make a late free agent signing or waiver claim. It's a risky but strategic move, one that tells us the front office doesn't feel entirely satisfied with the protection unit just yet. The defense, meanwhile, looks both promising and ruthless in its cut decisions. Up front, Milton Williams, Christian Barmore, Q's Tonga, and Joshua Farmer anchor the interior, with Tonga's standout preseason raising expectations. On the edge, Harold Landry and Keon White headline, with Clavon Chaisson and Braden Swinson joining them. But the surprise name is Elijah Ponder, who makes the roster over Jeremiah Farms. Farms has the talent, but once he hits waivers, other teams will be circling. It's the brutal side of roster cuts. Talent doesn't always survive numbers. At linebacker, Raekwon McMillan heads to IR, while Robert Spillane, Christian Ellis, Jack Gibbons, and Marte Mapu step up. Mapu is the redemption story. Last year, his struggles at safety had many questioning whether he belonged. But this preseason, he's been everywhere, reading plays, flying downhill, showing instincts that thrive at linebacker. Vrabel and his staff noticed that transition might have saved his career in New England and could turn him into a key defensive piece moving forward. The cornerback group locks in with Christian Gonzalez, Carlton Davis, Marcus Jones, DJ James, and Alex Austin. Notably absent are Kobe Minor and Miles Battle, both of whom had rough showings all preseason. Depth is still a concern here, but the Patriots clearly opted for reliability over gambling on upside. At safety, Jabril Peppers, Jalen Hawkins, and Craig Woodson handle starting duties, with Brendan Schooler continuing his role as a special teams ace. But the name on every fan's lips? Kyle Dugger. Dugger's journey this preseason has been chaotic. Demoted to second-team reps, even pushed into scout team action, he looked like a player on the verge of being cut. But when the lights were brightest against the Giants, Dugger played like a man possessed. 7 tackles, 1 interception on Jameis Winston, and a PFF grade of 77.6. Vrabel himself admitted Dugger looks improved and hungry. With $14 million in cap space attached, moving him doesn't make much sense unless a trade offer is irresistible. Still, the Patriots reportedly dangled him and Anthony Jennings on the trade block. Jennings is gone from this projection, but Dugger may have saved his job with his performance. Fans know his value, and letting him go could spark backlash unless the front office gets meaningful draft capital in return. And finally, special teams. Parker Romo edges out competition to become the kicker, despite misses from range. Bryce Behringer stays at punter, and Julian Ashby holds the long snapper role. Andy Borgales, despite hype, just didn't make enough big kicks. Vrabel's comments suggest belief in Romo, and with Chad Ryland's painful misses still fresh in everyone's memory, stability here is crucial. The overall projection? Patriots finished 10-7, a ceiling of 11 wins, a floor of 7, but firmly in the mix for a playoff spot. That's the picture painted as roster cutdown looms on Tuesday. And with one roster spot seemingly being held open, there's one more move out there waiting to happen. So now it's your turn. What do you think of this projected 53? Does Kyle Dugger deserve to stay, or should the team trade him while his value is high? Should Antonio Gibson be moved, or do you want him in the rotation? And do you believe Javon Baker can carve out a role like Matthew Slater once did? Drop your thoughts, because this roster is about to define the Patriots season. And here's where things get even more fascinating. The ripple effects of these roster choices go far beyond just who makes the team on paper. Every name on this 53-man projection carries a bigger storyline about where the Patriots are headed under Mike Vrabel's leadership. Let's circle back to the quarterback position for a moment. Drake Maye isn't just a name on the depth chart, he's the centerpiece of the franchise's future. But the staff's decision to keep Josh Dobbs as the veteran backup speaks volumes. Dobbs is steady, smart, and capable of stepping in if needed, but more importantly, he's a bridge. He's the type of presence who helps Maye grow without forcing him into chaos too early. Meanwhile, keeping Ben Waldridge on the practice squad allows the team to stash developmental talent without jeopardizing the present. The Giants game may have exposed his flaws, but New England clearly sees something they can mold over time. It's a balancing act. Protect the rookie franchise QB, keep a reliable backup, and still invest in a long-term project. That's the Patriots' way right now. The running back situation tells its own story of evolution. Fans love Rhamondre Stevenson, and rightly so. He's the kind of bruising, versatile back who embodies what New England football has always been about. But Trayvon